And I call the member for Mallee.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Agriculture, Drought and Emergency Management. Will the Minister please outline to the House how the Morrison-McCormack government is backing Australia's agricultural workforce to help support our regional communities, especially in Victoria, through the COVID-19 pandemic?
The Minister for Agriculture has the call.
Well, thank you, Mr Speaker. And can I thank the member for Mallee, not just for her question, but for her passionate representation of her electorate and regional Victoria, from the hard borders that have been imposed on regional Victorians, and she has been ably supported by Senator McKenzie, the member for Nichols, the member for Gippsland, and also Senator Davies, in bringing this to the national attention, the impacts this is having on agricultural production systems and supply chains, but also human health. There's been tragic stories that the member for Mallee has passionately brought forward that has then seen leadership from states in working with the federal government to be able to rectify in a compassionate way, and I thank her and her colleagues for their representation. But it is important to understand that our agricultural production systems are integrated, particularly on the East Coast, and workforce plays an integral part in that. And that's why we're continuing to work with states to understand that city-centric solutions don't necessarily cut it in regional rural Australia, in making sure that we can retrofit some of the restrictions that have been put in place to understand the nuances that are needed to keep our supply chains moving, to make sure the food and fibre remains on the shelves every time we go to the shops. And that's why we'll continue to work with the states in practical solutions in achieving that. And I have to say that the Chief Medical Officer in Queensland has in fact shown some leadership on that. And I challenged all the Chief Medical Officers to go out and to listen and to understand regional communities, understand the needs of the agricultural production systems, and to listen to local leaders. And she listened to the local mayor in Gundawindi, Lawrence Springborg, and understood and opened up the borders between Queensland and New South Wales to allow farmers who have properties on both sides of the border to be able to go across and to tend to their crops, but also, importantly, for animal welfare. You see, regional rural Australia have evolved past lines on a map that were put in place over 100 years ago. A modern-day regional Australia is fully integrated, and it needs to be supported with practical, common-sense solutions. And I congratulate the Queensland Chief Medical Officer for that understanding. And we're now working, and I understand the South Australian government is making some announcements today in terms of loosening their restrictions in a practical, common-sense way that keeps us safe. That's what this is about, is keeping us safe but using practical solutions that keep the country moving. That's an important step in understanding what we do. And this is going to hit a real peak, particularly as we get towards the end of the year.
Member for
as
Bruce,
we get into warmer months,
Solomon.
the demand on seasonal workers will be even greater, and the government worked in March to extend the term of those in the Pacific and seasonal visa holders to be able to go for another 12 months if they worked in agriculture, a critical industry. And we've put in place a pilot in the Northern Territory. 177 mango pickers came in and been able to support that industry in a practical way. This is about practical solutions, making sure those jobs are market tested where Australians get first crack at them. But where they can't, we need support. We'll give practical solutions to support Australian farmers to put their food and fibre on your shopping shelves.